Have you ever spent time putting together a lead list, figuring out how to actually contact these leads, whether it's cold DMs or cold emails, going and messaging hundreds and hundreds of businesses every single day, and then finally getting in your positive responses, and you realize you don't actually know how to respond to these guys. You don't know how to convert the responses into appointments and angle it back in towards having a call. Now, we've actually developed a strategy that we use across all of our clients, and we convert an awful lot of the positive responses that we get back into appointments. And so in this video, I'm going to show you that exact process. I'm going to show you some exact examples of real responses that we've had from our clients in some really difficult niches, and we've converted those into appointments. So this is going to be a really valuable video if you are doing any outreach right now. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Lister. I help agency owners to save thousands and thousands of hours by sometimes even doing their outreach for them, so they can start to work on the agency rather than working in the agency. So I'm going to hop into the computer right now and show you this document I put together. Okay, so I'm going to link this document in the description of the video, but basically this document is going to give you a full guide to increasing the number of bookings you receive from your outreach responses. If you follow this process and you actually implement it into the systems that you have, then you will book more appointments, and that's a guarantee. So there's a few different types of responses that you can get, right? As I'm sure you're aware, there can be a positive response where the prospect agrees to book a call and they're looking to set up a call. The response that you have to that is still quite important. You can't just send them a link. And then there's the neutral response, right? This is where the prospect might be interested, but it isn't quite clear yet. Commonly, the prospect will ask a question here, or there'll be some kind of hesitancy, and then a negative response. So this is kind of immediate doubts, intense questioning. They're going to be quite skeptical, and this is quite typical of a negative response. And then there's the go away response, right? This is unsubscribe, not interested. If someone is rude to you, just don't respond to these. I'm going to give more on that in a bit later. And so the fundamentals of responding to any message or any email that you get from your outreach. Now, we follow a 4-point process, and this makes sure that all of our clients convert as many appointments as possible. And let's go through this. So the first one is to reject negativity. So you want to greet every prospect by telling them that you are absolutely delighted to hear from them, regardless if they've been a little bit blunt, they've been negative to you, or they just haven't been as positive as you might want them to be. If we maintain a positive frame, it's going to be virtually impossible for the prospect to actually break that frame and continue to be negative. So an example of this is if the prospect is telling you that, they've tried this before, it hasn't really worked. If you just respond to them back and you say, Mr. Prospect, this is fantastic to hear because we've dealt with this many different times before, and virtually all of our clients have used services before that they've tried, and we've been able to excel at that. Or you say something along the lines of just fantastic to hear from you. I knew you were going to say that. I expected this to happen. And then you go through and you angle it back towards a call. And so if you have this frame, it's almost like if someone is being rude to you, if you're speaking to someone or you're out in a shop or something and someone is rude to you, if you're just not rude back, if you're just nice to them back, they can't really do anything. They can't be then rude again, because then they just feel even worse. It just makes them so much rude if they're doing that. They kind of want you to argue back at them and to give your argument and stuff like that. But if you just refuse to do that, then they can't maintain that frame. They have to kind of move into your frame and be positive. And then the second point is no questions. So you're going to get questions from prospects. People are going to ask you, how much does it cost? How does this work? What is this? How does this actually implement into the business? But you must not answer these, right? Exceptions can be made if you try to deflect the question and the prospect continues to ask and they say, look, I'm not jumping on a call unless I actually know this, then of course you might as well just answer the question. But initially, the less information that you provide, the more likely it is that they are going to book a call. And so if you use the element of curiosity, right? If you tell people, I can give you this many appointments, it's not really clear how, but you're so confident and you're so convicted that you can do it and your copywriting is fantastic, then they are more likely to jump on a call because they want to figure out what is going on here. Why is this person so confident? And so if you start answering their questions and say, we do Facebook ads, or we do this, we do that, you're going to start to answer questions that they didn't really want the answer to. And so if you tell them that we do Facebook ads and they tried Facebook ads before, maybe they had an agency that specialized in Facebook ads and it went terrible, they're going to start to put you in that same bracket. So now they're going to associate your agency with the agency that they had trouble with. So we really don't want to do that. And there could be a positive here. So we could answer a question and we say, we do Facebook ads, and they say, we've been looking for someone to do Facebook ads. This is perfect. But more likely than not, they're going to associate you with something negatively. And the less that you say, the more chance you have of not saying something that is negative, if that makes sense. And then thirdly, you want to focus on the call. So there's going to be many times where your conversation moves away from actually booking a call. People start talking about semantics, people start talking about very specific things, but in actual fact, all you want to do is just angle it towards a call. And this is your main job, right? And so if this does happen, just suggest having a call to answer the question or to, face the problem that they do have. So a classic one, for example, is the pricing. Someone says, what's the price? Obviously, you don't want to answer that question. You can say, it's very difficult for me to give you a price without knowing a little bit more. Would you have 5 minutes to jump onto a call and we can go through this, right? And you're angling it towards a call. It's just a discovery call. But obviously, because you're saying, I can give you the answer to this if we just jump on a quick call, we can figure this one out. You can give me some information and I can give you a quick price on the call. And then you have this booking being done and you have much more chance to actually go and close that prospect. And lastly, you want to lower the stakes. So calls can seem daunting for a lot of prospects. Sometimes been burnt in the past, which happened to quite a lot of businesses now. And as well, people are very busy. If you have a calendar link and it says 45 minutes on your booking page, they're going to click on that. They're going to see 45 minutes. I do not have time for that. And so we want to lower the stakes, right? A good technique to use, for example, is to make your calendar event 15 minutes as an event and then add a 45-minute buffer on that so everyone just sees a 15-minute event, but obviously your calls can go on longer than that. Or, for example, you want to lower the friction by just saying, let's jump on a quick 5-minute call. If, for example, we realize that we can't help you, that this is just not for you, this is just not a fit at all, we'll end the call early, we'll have 5 minutes, and then we'll go our separate ways and we'll still be friends, right? You can add a bit of humor in there if you want. And this just really lowers the effort for the prospect. And so now it's not this big 45-minute call, there's not much friction there. They just have to jump on and, maybe we just have a quick chat or something like that. And so here are some examples. So these are pulled straight from our clients' accounts. So everything that you see here has been done in the last 7 days or so as I'm recording this video. And so I've got positive responses in here, negative responses, neutral responses. So let's go through these. So the first one is just a positive response, right? Oftentimes you can have a link to the call booking in the email that you originally sent, but people will still respond and say, let me know when you're available. Maybe they've not used Calendly before, they're not too used to it and stuff like that. So you still have to go and respond to them, right? And so in a situation like this, if you just said, great, here's the call link, it wouldn't really work. It probably would most of the time, but the percentage of people that are actually going to book is not as high as it would be if you actually had a system of doing this, right? And so you can template these responses, of course. Don't copy this, of course, because it wouldn't actually work for you, especially if everyone watching this video actually goes and does this now. It probably wouldn't work the best. So this is from Ayan, and we said, hey, Ayan, so good to hear from you. It's really exciting to be in touch, right? So this here, even though the person's being positive, we still want to just be extremely positive about this. We're super excited. It's fantastic to hear from them, whatever it may be, right? Always start your sentences off like this. And then we're giving a direct call to action. So please go ahead and check out my calendar link to book a time. And then we're giving a direct call to action, right? So please go ahead and check out my calendar link to book a time. We're being super friendly here. We're saying please, we're adding an exclamation mark. It seems, super friendly and playful and very positive. And then we're putting at the bottom, here you go, link to the Calendly. Thanks, right? If we just said, hey, Ayan, sure, here you go, 9 times out of 10 it is going to work. But if you have this response in place where it's actually a little bit more positive, it's more likely that you're going to actually get the booking in, and you're going to have that not 9 out of 10, but 99 times out of 100, right? And you can template this response, like I said. And obviously, sometimes if someone responds with maybe a little bit different response, they ask a quick question, or what time are you available, or something like that. You wouldn't want to just respond with this. You'd obviously might have to tweak it a little bit so it actually makes sense. But this one is pretty straightforward. And next we have a negative response here, right? So this is a response where they responded, thank you for reaching out, but we are currently hiring a marketing person to do this in-house, okay? So we've obviously come to them with some marketing services, we can help you with this. And they've turned around and said, we have another solution that we're working on. We're working on hiring someone in-house, okay? And even though this is a negative response, right, it's basically saying no in a nice way. Maybe they're not even hiring someone. Maybe they're just coming up with a way to actually, avoid saying yes. And so initially, straight away, we are going to go, great to hear from you. We're not going to go, oh, that's sorry to hear, or anything like that. Or we're going to go, great to hear from you. Okay, cool. That sounds awesome. Because if we start saying now, for example, you don't want to do that, we're better than this, or anything like that, you're creating this negative frame. And in many ways, a lot of times when someone responds to your email with the fact that, we're not doing this because we're going in-house, we're doing another direction, if you start to then prod them and to basically argue with them, maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe they want to stay in that negative frame. And so what you're starting to do here by being super positive is you're just making sure that they can't be in that negative frame. So, great to hear from you. Okay, cool. That sounds awesome. Now comes in the actual part where we spin this around and we try to get our call booked in there. And so then we go on to say, if you wouldn't mind, I'd be happy to show you how our system works. And then that makes you much more informed on whether outsourcing this or hiring in-house would work best. Okay, so now we're just giving some kind of explanation, right? We're not giving it a definite, this is definitely what you should do. How about you weigh up your options? How about you just give this a chance, right? It's very, very easy. It's quite lighthearted. And then we're going to say, would you be against that? Okay, so we're sort of giving them this idea, and instead of saying like, would you be up for that, do you agree with this, which is a very definite statement, we're saying, would you be against that, right? And if you can imagine a scale of I would be against that and to I am for that, if you say, for example, are you for that, do you agree, we're talking this very, very narrow frame here, maybe like 10 or 20%, so the top 10 or 20% positive. But if we say, would you be against that, they're going to say no to that because they're not against it, right? And this is now, the against section is the last 10 or 20%, right? So now we're covering this like 70 to 80% frame here, where we're giving them much more opportunity for them to say, yes, this sounds like a good idea. I wouldn't be against that. And it's so much easier to say that you're not going to be against that than saying, for example, that you are for that. And then we just simply say, I'll leave my calendar below where you can pick the best time for you, but let me know when you can. Grab a time here. And they did actually go on to book a call from this. So even though this was a negative response, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, the vast majority of your negative responses won't book a call, especially if they come straight away with an objection. But a lot of times, if you just do angle it this way, you just have that slight chance of getting the booking. But this is one that did actually come through, so it was a big win. And now moving on to our neutral responses. So this is a response here where they say, what does the pay per performance deal look like? Big question, everyone wants to know. They're asking specifically about pricing. And so we're going to say, great to hear from you. Our service varies from brand to brand, so I can't give you an exact proposal right now. But what I can say is that for all of our clients, we don't make money until they do. Simple, okay? So they're asking for what does a pay per performance deal look like, okay? And we're very much dodging that question here because we're basically saying that we don't make money until you do. This could be a retainer with a refund. This could be a pay per appointment. This could be a commission-based deal. This could be a whole lot of different things, right? And so then we're going to angle it back towards the call. I'd love to learn more about your brand so I can give you an exact offer. Would you be against having a quick call to discuss? Okay, so now what we're doing here is we are withholding that information in order for them to actually book a call. So we're saying you can have this information. I'm more than happy to answer this question, but we just need a little bit more information from you to get that. How about we set up a quick call so I can get this information and then I can answer your question? And you can see here why this would actually make someone want to book a call. They can understand why, they don't want to give an exact proposal because it wouldn't actually make sense. If they gave them like a really, really wide of the mark quotation, then it really wouldn't be good. And obviously that's not great for business. And so we're basically saying, let's have this little bit more of information and then we can actually give you the answer that you want. Leave the calendar below so you can pick the best time for you. And there we go. And then they responded, do you have any times available on Wednesday? And so you can very, very quickly see here how we can take a response that is neutral. It's sort of, they're interested, but they're not too sure. There's some initial doubts there, and we can turn that around so that we can basically answer their questions by booking it straight back to a call. Okay, so this is another neutral response. This was a pretty long one. Straight away, again, we're coming in with a pricing question. What is the fee structure? And then we're going to turn around and say, great to hear from you. Again, giving that initial positivity. Because we're paid on results, every brand that we work with is on a different price point. So I wouldn't want to give you a price right now that could be way off without me knowing more about your business. So again, exactly the same philosophy here. I'd love to learn more about you so we can basically give you an exact price. If you have a moment soon, would you be against that? Again, same philosophy as earlier. I'll leave the calendar below. There we go. Then we have another response here. So basically, I would like to know how you price your services / product via email. Thanks. Now, this is obviously like a pretty tricky one, right? This is where we maybe want to give a little bit more information, maybe agree with them a little bit more. And so what we responded in this one was, hey, Pat, I'll be honest with you. It really depends on a bunch of things. So the pricing varies a lot. What I can tell you is that we work on a retainer basis, and if we don't hit the targets you set, then you won't pay us for our service. So working with us is risk-free. Now, what we've had to do there is give a little bit more information, but what that means is that we can start to tie this into more positive. So we can give them more information, retainer basis with refunds, you won't pay us for the services, and so we can add that bit at the end. So working with us is risk-free. Let me know when you're free for a chat. And then they booked in for one day. And so you can just see by sometimes trying to get them to book a call without giving them that much information, they're going to push you a little bit further. You give them a little bit more information. If we give them the whole amount, it's $2,000 a month, it's this, it's that, it's whatever, then they're going to start to, not want to book a call because that curiosity isn't there. So we're giving them just enough information so that they're actually satisfied, but they need to jump on a call to get that extra information that they're actually looking for. And the last thing to note on this, just a bonus in the video really, is if you get one of these emails, they tell you to unsubscribe, they tell you they're not interested, they swear at you, they're rude, whatever it is, you never, ever, ever respond. Now, I've seen many people try to convert a negative response into some kind of booking, and I have literally never seen it done. I must have received, across all of my clients, across my own work as well, I must have received 500, 1,000 of these by now. And I've never actually seen someone convert into a booking. And even if they do, the chance that they turn into a client is so microscopic small that it is just not worth it at all. And what starts to happen is if you piss people off, if you start to respond to people and they don't actually want you to respond, if they've told you to unsubscribe and you keep messaging them saying, hey, how about this, how about that, they're going to put you in the trash. And all of these email providers, whether it's Gmail or Yahoo or whatever it is, they start to pick up on the fact that these emails are going more into spam. People are marking them as spam. And so what is going to start to happen is when you start to do your outreach, you're going to get less and less positive responses just because you couldn't let that one response go. So what I would say is if you have any responses like that, literally just stop what you're doing. Like just ignore it. Sometimes it's best just to delete it in the first place, and then you make sure that no one's going to respond to it and you completely forget about it in the first place. And if you do get sort of disheartened or you get sort of, upset by these or anything like that, just got to remember that it's just a game. It's just a numbers game. If you're going to send out 1,000 emails, you're definitely going to get at least one person who doesn't want to respond. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're going to send you some awful email. I've had so many emails before when I first started doing this, and I responded and I was like, tried to convert people over, and I said, that's not fair. And tried to argue my point. And then they just come back with an absolute storm of, the longest email you've ever seen in your life, and it's really not good because the chance that they've marked you as spam is probably pretty high at that point because they know that's the last thing that you want them to do. So if you just do get any go away response, any unsubscribe response, just delete it, forget about it, ignore it. But if you are looking to sign clients on a done for you basis, then go ahead and click the first link in the description. We're not asking for your email or your phone or anything like that. We won't be bombarding you with text messages. It's literally just a video of me explaining how my company does this. If you want to just watch these videos, that's completely fine, of course. But if you did enjoy the video, go ahead and click the like button and comment if you want me to cover anything specific at all, and subscribe if you want to see more. But yeah, appreciate you watching this one to the end. Cheers.